Houston Texans versus the former Houston Oilers, the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. Now, Tennessee did not look like a team that's been off work for 2 weeks. 16 days was their layoff from when this whole thing first started. They took the Buffalo Bills to the woodshed, and they spanked them. They put them over their knee, and they tanned that hide like you wouldn't believe. So can they do that to the Texans again this week? Before we kind of get into that, Jeff, what do you got to break down the injuries here that we're looking at? No one should be hurt for the Titans. We still got Corey Davis' season's being put on hold a little bit right now because he's still on COVID. But I'm just saying, since Corey Davis season started, the Titans have not lost a game.
True. He also hasn't played much. Actually, for the Titans, I think the biggest note is that AJ Brown had no setback. She needs to add some more color.
The people want more
no
color.
Setbacks.
Where?
7 pitches, 2 yards, 1 touchdown, and 9 targets. And honestly, I don't think Houston has any.
Is that what you're looking?
So, biggest injury for Houston actually is, and you guys would know this more as the IDPers, Benardrick McKinney, who I guess is Houston's top-ranked pass coverage linebacker. So, I think he would be the guy who would be on Johnny Smith.
That's it. So Kyle puts a note down there and says, "Coach, you look fabulous." I just wanted to let you know that he has not admitted yet that you're an expert at anything yet, Matt, but he is saying that you look fabulous with that makeup. Maybe you look more like an IDP expert with that on than you did off. So Kyle, maybe you can let us know if he looks like he knows more now. So Houston, Tennessee, I think the number one thing for me is Ryan Tannehill is an auto start as a QB1 for me this week. Houston has allowed 9 touchdowns. They have not intercepted a pass yet. They've been very vulnerable through the air. The way that Tennessee plays, I think, only Tennessee could go in and be the reason why the whole league is having to adjust their schedule and then act like something is being done wrong to them, use it as a way to play with a chip on their shoulder. I didn't really understand their comments, but hey, sometimes you got to use what you got to use, and that's what they're using. If it helps, look, I'm slotting Tannehill in everywhere that I've got him. Some places where I lost Dak, unfortunately, I'm putting Ryan Tannehill in his place. On the other side, Houston didn't really look like they had very many changes. So I really like that there's some consistency, other than the fact that obviously Brandon Cook got fed. I think reading between the lines of some of the comments from Deshaun Watson last week, I think Brandon Cooks was a little bit of a squeaky wheel, and we all know a lot of times when wide receivers are squeaky wheels, they get fed the very next week. And I think I speculated that was going to happen. And hey, it ultimately paid off. He did get a lot of work. I also think Randall Cobb, very interestingly, is, he disappointed us in that first game. Sometimes our first impression is what sticks. But ever since then, he's been pretty consistent as a solid low, maybe a low ceiling, but a high floor option with bye weeks coming up. And, maybe COVID options, things like that. I think he's a guy to keep around. Make sure you keep him on your roster during this time, because I think he could end up being a guy that is a good fill-in to give us a low floor during those bye weeks.
Okay, Jonah Smith is going to eat this week again. He is in the top 3 in, I think it was yards per game or yards per catch or something. Right now, he is absolutely destroying it. And without McKinney in the lineup, he is going to absolutely be a thorn in Houston's ass going into this week. It's going to be a tough matchup for Houston as far as covering that tight end. Jonah Smith is tough for anyone to cover, let alone if you lose your best coverage linebacker. So I definitely think you're looking at Jonah Smith as a top 3 tight end this week. Especially if you're one of those guys who sat back and waited for the tight end position to open up in your drafts and got Jonah Smith very late. he's definitely on pace. He's going to outperform guys like Zach Ertz this year. I don't know if he'll end up with more stats than a Darren Waller or your Travis Kelce's or your George Kittles, but he's going to be in that top 5 talk by the end of the season. And basing on what he's done, now we've seen 4 games right now, so he's played 1 less than most players. That number is going to continue to grow. What I want to see, though, on the flip side, is I want to see if Brandon Cooks can put it together for a second week in a row against the Tennessee Titans. That's what I want to see. I want to see Deshaun Watson go, enough is enough. I'm going to put everyone on my back, and we're going to go here and see if they can give Tennessee a run for their money. Because right now, on paper, this is a mismatch favoring the Titans. But I do believe in Deshaun Watson. I believe in the weapons that he has. I'm not starting David Johnson this week unless I absolutely have to because of the injuries. But I want to see – I think Brandon Cooks could definitely do another 100 yards receiving and another touchdown this week. He came in last week. He performed well. I think he can definitely take advantage of guys like Malcolm Butler, who probably see a good chunk of them. And that's what I want to see. I want to see that Houston passing game get going against the Tennessee Titans because they're going to ground and pound them on one end. So they're going to need to put points up on their side just to keep up with the Titans this week.